Hello and welcome to the Great British Race Off, round 8 here in Baku, situated on the coast of the Sidonian Ocean, which doesn't exist, but it's somewhere in the eastern parts, reaches of Europe, somewhere near Russia. And they'll all be in a rush today to get onto the circuit for qualifying, get track position. And let's see who's going to have the best setup for today's race. If you haven't been with us for free practice 3, it was all pretty close. Different tyres being used to set different lap times, so it's difficult to get a read on who has the best setup and the best preparation for qualifying or indeed the race. And indeed, Thunderdog was in a parallel universe, also around Baku, but not at the same time. But it was at the same time. They worked that one out. But he was setting some blistering lap times. Hopefully his tyres won't be blistered. 1:39.9 I think his best was. So that is really going to be a shock for some of these drivers to try and get up to those sort of lap times. So let's see how they get on. I think the qualifying session is about to get underway. And shortly we'll pass over to Karun Chandok, who's down in the pits. Ah yes, thank you very much indeed. We are down here in the pits, and they're just about to leave onto the circuit. In fact, Caleb, having won the last round, is really set to go. And he's looking to decide whether to go out on softs straight away or make a few adjustments to his car. Back to you, Crofty. Thank you, Karun. Yes, not much track action yet, but I'm sure they're just looking for the right time to go out onto the circuit. And it looks like Chaz is going to go out first. No, he's not. There's a couple behind him. There's a couple of the AIs going out. So Chaz first, one of the championship contenders to get out. And he's on the soft tyre, so he'll be looking to set a quick lap straight away. So if we consider the championship standings so far, Kian is Thunderdog leading the championship on 121 points, just 3 points ahead of Caleb. Caleb on 3 points in it. And Chaz just another 13 points further back, and Jack a little bit further behind on that. Chaz has won 2 races so far. Kian's won 2 races so far. Caleb's won 3 races so far. And having won the last race in Monaco, street circuit, surely Caleb the favourite here around another street circuit. But of course, Baku is completely different. It's like supercharged Monaco. Walls all around, a much higher speed circuit. There is a few slow speed corners, certainly the middle sector. You're going to need good downforce and traction to get through there quick. Then you've got the very long 1.2 kilometre straights. So they're on their out laps at the moment. They're just getting ready to start their flying laps. All 4 drivers out there, all 4 on the softs, all 4 trying to put a banker down to get a good grid position. So who's started their lap at the moment? So let's go on board with Chaz to start with. Oh, and that's ruined Jack's lap. Chaz does a 1:43.898. That's the quickest so far. And it's Thunderdog about to complete the lap. And a 1:41.175. Let's see what Caleb will put in. 41.424. Very close between them. And Jack coming through to complete his first lap, but he was badly held up, so that will just be another out lap, so he'll go for a quick lap now, a little bit further back. So very close at the top between the top three, between Thunderdog and the Caleb. And Chaz is, sorry, some technical difficulties here. Chaz is going much quicker than his previous lap now. 1:43.8 previously. He's 1.5 seconds up so far as he exits the final corner. 1.6, so this could be in the 1:41s. Oh, he's really lost some time there going around the last couple of corners, and that's a shame because he was on for a good lap time there, and he ends up being slower overall. Boxed his lap, aborted that, and the yellow flags are out for that if he hit the wall. Yellow flags now clear. So Thunderdog quickest so far on a 41.1. Now Jack's going a lot quicker. So let's have a quick look at his lap. 11 seconds up, so this will be his proper first flying lap into the final corner. Exit's fine, and he might get a bit of a tow from the car in front as well. Purple middle sector from Jack. The yellow flag though, is that going to slow him down? He certainly has slowed down. I don't know why he's aborted that lap because he was going well. Strange one. Anyway, they're all back into the pits after their first run. So just 3/10 separating Thunderdog 321 and Caleb 137. Caleb actually purple in sector 1, but Kian a couple of tenths up in sector 2 and in sector 3. So we'll have to see how that plays out. So, Jack and Caleb and Kian on an outlap, going to have another go. And Chaz decides to come and join the party. Yellow flag in this final sector. That's because Caleb's going very slowly. About to start his lap, making sure he's got a gap. getting a good run down the main straight, ready to start his flying lap. And Jack is a couple of corners towards the end of finishing his out lap. Keane's on the main straight, about to start his fastest lap. Good first couple of corners for Caleb. He's 2 or 3 tenths up on his personal best. He needs 3 tenths, of course, to be able to catch Thunderdog. A couple of tenths up so far. Thunderdog is also up on his lap time. In fact, he's 6 or 7 tenths up. He's had a wonderful first sector so far. Purple first sector by Caleb. Thunderdog about to complete the first sector. And goes quicker than Caleb, and he's taken over the purple. Jack on a personal best lap so far. And Chaz just starting his flying lap. Thunderdog through Leclerc, I'm an idiot corner. Caleb approaching the end of his lap, just 1 corner to go. Purple middle sector. Pretty much nailed that final corner, and he's 6 tenths up on his best. But of course Keane is going even faster behind. But he's lost some of the advantage that he had, Thunderdog. They're both about 6 tenths up on their previous bests, so it could end up both going quicker, but with Keane still in the lead. Let's see the end of Caleb's lap. Can he get into the 39s? He can't. 40.7 from Caleb. But I think Keane's going to go quicker than that. 40.7 for Caleb. And Keane, DRS wide open. The engine screaming. 40.4. So still very close between those two. Jack about to finish his flying lap. This will be his first proper flying lap. 43.2, that's more representative and pushes Chaz down to 4th, who is about to complete his final lap, and he's 6 tenths up on his best. 1 corner to go. Run a little bit wide at the final corner. Just needs to keep it out of these walls through this really fast section of the final straight. Lost a little bit there in that final corner, and that's compromised him down the straight. He's only a couple of tenths up now on his best, only 1 tenth up. So getting that final corner wrong really compromises you all the way down the straight, and he remains in 4th place. So we still, as you were, Thunderdog and Caleb 1st and 2nd, and a little bit of a gap to Jack now in 3rd, and Chaz in 4th. After the 2nd run, it's 5 minutes to go. They'll be back to the pits. Will they have time for 1 more flying run? Looks like Caleb's on a 2nd push lap, but he's slower, so he is coming to the pits. Karoon, you have some news for us? Yes, I've just been noticing, friends, that Thunderdog's time of 140.491. Both him and Caleb were managing 139s in practice, so they're not able to replicate these lap times. So we're wondering what it is. Is it the tires? Is it the temperature? It could be just getting a little bit too hot. The sun is really shining. It's getting into the hot part of the day. Maybe that's just meaning the air that the engine needs is just not getting enough air into the box to cool it down and give it that extra bit of power. Or it could be that the tires are just outside the operating window. But who knows? Who can make those final adjustments to try and make the difference of those few tenths in the final run? Thank you, Kieran. Talking nonsense as usual. But there we go. Now, what is the tyre situation? Do they have enough tyres to do 1 more run? Just looking at Caleb's garage, and yeah, I'm getting the nod from his race engineer there. He's got 1 more set of tyres left, so we'll be able to give it 1 more go. He's just 2 or 3 tenths behind as he was in the first run. They both improved by 6 or 7 tenths on that 2nd run. Thunderdog still has the advantage. 41.1, oh, just looking at the screen there, 41.4, 40.7. I don't know what times I was looking at there. Anyway, 40.7. Oh yes, so 41.4 Caleb's first lap, and his second lap was a 40.7, 7/10 improvement. And Kian's improvement was pretty much the same. Jack trying to find some space coming out of the pits, just overtaking one, he's just trying to overtake another one. Yes, manages to get him out of the way. Fighting for space with other drivers there, trying to get some space for his final quali run. So 3 minutes remain. Thunderdog's still in the garage. Is he going to come out for one more run? Taking the tyre blankets off. Screen's coming off. It looks like he is. Will he have time to get around? Quite a long lap here in Baku. 1 minute 40 flying lap. So an out lap's going to take about 2 minutes to get around. So he's got just enough time. He doesn't want to get held up by any back markers. So just 2 minutes to go. And it looks like Chaz has stayed out, unless I've missed him come in and him go out again. He's on a slower lap. He might be just, he's boxing this lap. He's not going to have time to go again. Anyway, so let's join these final flying laps from Caleb and Jack and Kian. Caleb's going first. He'll be first across the line. Maybe he can put some pressure on Kian. Really wants to nail that first corner. Got that, yeah, good turn in, good nose, got a good front end there. Playing around with front wing adjustments perhaps. Clean through number 2, and he's a 10th up already. Remember, he needs 3/10 through the course of the lap, and that's if Kian doesn't improve. Comes down to the difficult turn 3, end of the DRS zone. Yeah, got the apex with the front corner just right there. So it's a good start to the lap from Caleb, and he is a couple of tenths up. If he can keep this going, he's on course to beat Kian's time. Kian just about to start his lap. Purple first sector from Caleb. You can't ask any more than that. Can he keep it together? Approaching Leclerc corner. And he's not an idiot, through there without a problem at all. All very, very neat and tidy from Caleb at the moment. He's 4-5 tenths up. So at the moment, he's heading for pole, but what can Kian do? Can Kian improve as well? 2 corners to go from Caleb. Ooh, a little bit wide in second to last corner, but not too bad. He approaches the final corner, the all-crucial final corner. A little bit wide, but reasonably neat and tidy, and he's 8 or 9 tenths up, and he's a purple second sector as well. This is going to be an awesome lap from Caleb. Can he finish it off? Just the main straight to go, and he's lost something through there because he's just under 8 tenths up. Now, what's Kian looking like? Now, Kian is not improving at the moment. He's exactly the same. He's about a tenth down. So Caleb crosses the line, 39.973. He's done it. He's got it into the 39s. 39.973. That pushes the pressure back onto Kian, who's 2 tenths down on his best lap. And he's approaching the slowest section. He's approaching Leclerc corner. He needs something quick through here. And he's not an idiot either. And he's through. And he's found about 3 tenths himself through that section. So that's where he was losing his time. But he's lost something on the exit. But he's still slightly up. Just a couple of corners to go for Kian. And that's pretty good. He's a 10th up now. It's going to be so close. 1 corner to go. Yes, that was good. He's a 10th and a half up. He'll probably need about 3 tenths up to get pretty close to where Caleb was. 39.9 is what he's aiming for. He's on the straight. He's pressing the accelerator as hard as he can. What's it going to be? 39.9? No, it's in the 40s. It's pole for Caleb and second for Thunderdog here in Baku. What a race we're going to have, though. It's going to be so close between these two. And Chaz not very far behind with a 41.8. That's a great lap from Chaz. only a second and a half behind Thunderdog. And Jackaroo with a 43.2 will be lining up on the outside of the second row in 4th place. So join us for the race. It's going to be a good one. So welcome back to Baku. The sun is shining. It's not going to rain. The safety car is at the front of the grid. And we're just 25 seconds away from the start of this all-important race. Just 3 points in it at the top of the championship between Thunderdog and the Caleb 137. And there was only 3/10 between them in qualifying, or just over 3/10. And it's pretty close behind as well. So Chaz and Jackaroo not that far behind. So let's see what's going to happen. Caleb on pole, Thunderdog on second, Jackaroo and Chaz just behind. The lights are on! And it's go! So Caleb leads into turn 1, and Thunderdog is second. Bit of a coming together with him and Chaz, but they keep on going. Clear track for Caleb with Thunderdog right behind, and then it's Chaz, and then it's Jackaroo. Jackaroo having a look down into turn 3. Oh, and runs straight into the back of Chaz. I don't think he'll be very happy with that, but he keeps going, and he didn't spin. So Chaz still hangs on to P3. Jackaroo right behind him. Tried to get through into turn 3, and it didn't happen. Now, can Chaz keep his composure and pull away? Can Jack stay there and have another go perhaps later on in the lap? In the meantime, Caleb leads halfway round the first lap. Very close through the castle section where Charles Leclerc famously went off in qualifying and called himself an idiot in front of millions of TV viewers. Thunderdog close behind. Within DRS at the moment, crucially, obviously a couple of laps before DRS gets activated, but he'll be wanting to stay close behind so he can take the benefit of the tow down the main straight, and the DRS would certainly make it quite an easy pass if he manages to get that. So they enter the main straight. And he's just over a second behind. He'll be getting certainly be getting a tow, but it might not be enough without the DRS at this time. So they're all in the softs at the moment. The pit window, laps 5 to 7 for the softs. So let's see how this settles down in the next few laps. So Thunderdog's still keeping Caleb on his toes. Very, very close between those two. Chaz 2 seconds behind. And, oh, what's happened to Jack? Jack's pitted. I missed that. And he's come out of the pits now. 2.6 second stop. He's got onto the hards on lap 1. So an interesting, perhaps strategical choice there from Jack. He's gone onto the hards. He'll probably go to the end on those. He won't be stopping again. He certainly won't be planning on stopping again. So let's see how that turns out. Let's have a look at his lap times later on anyway. So Caleb still leads. He's pulling away a little bit now from the Thunderdog. He's pulled out a couple of seconds, and that's what he wants in these first couple of laps before DRS is activated. And Chaz hanging on in P3. Only 1.5 seconds behind Thunderdog. So hanging on really well. And Caleb is absolutely flying around this, particularly the second lap. Purple sector 1. He's now got 2.8 seconds lead already. So he's got out of that DRS range and he just needs to stay there. So I think Chaz will be pretty happy with this. He can see Thunderdog ahead. He's only a second or so off him. He'll be getting a tow. Not quite in the DRS range. But he'll certainly be happy with his first couple of laps of the race after managing to keep Jackaroo behind him. Jackaroo perhaps having a bit of front wing damage, but certainly diving into the pits at the end of lap 1. So Chaz knew he had some speed. And he's certainly showing it now in this early stages of the race, just 1.2 seconds behind Thunderdog. So DRS will become active at the end of this lap. So he wants to try and stay as close as he can on this lap to Kian to see if he can get within that DRS range. So we're still in the first sector at the moment. Just run a little bit wide around that corner. Just needs to keep it neat and tidy. Spot his braking points. And not do anything silly. In the meantime, Caleb now 3.6 seconds ahead as he approaches the castle for the third time. Through he goes. Wonderful sight. Whose idea was it to build the track straight through the middle of the castle? Absolutely fantastic view to see. Not that the drivers get much chance to have a look at that, but there we go. So Jack's caught up the back of the pack now, and he's already overtaken Calabrese, and he's just trying to get past Izumi. Nudges him out of the way. Up into 18th place on his hard tyres, and he's go through the castle as well. So final corner for Chaz, but he's lost a little bit on this lap, and he's now a couple of seconds behind, so well out of DRS zone. So he needs a tidy lap or two to try and reclose that gap. In the meantime, Caleb maintains a 3.4 second advantage over Kian. He does a 45.6 that lap, and Kian does a 46.0. So not much in it, and Chaz a 47 something, so a little bit slower, so that accounts for those increases in gaps. They're pretty close in lap time between the two leaders. Chaz doing his best to hang on. Any slight error by Kian, and Chaz will be onto that, especially around the pit stop stages. And how's Jack getting on? He's approaching some more traffic, back down in 18th place there on his hard tyres. He'll be going to the end, remember, but another 4 or 5 laps yet before some of these other back markers jump into the pits and get out of his way. So it'll be an interesting call on tyre strategy. Will they all come in the same lap? They're all, the ones that haven't stopped anyway, are all on softs. How far can they go? Obviously, the further they can go without losing too much time, the less far they will need to go on the mediums when they switch to those. Should be a one-stop race. Should be softs and then mediums. But we'll see what they put on at that stage. So the gap's pretty static at between second and third, still just a couple of seconds. But Caleb has pulled out another second or so at the front, up to 4 seconds now, his advantage. GBRO up to P17. Dispatchers Calabrese. No, Clark that was. So he's chasing Forrest now. Forrest. Maybe he was named after Forrest Gump. Who knows? Might start running in the wrong direction soon. Looking at his tyre wear, only 8%. So Jack will be have plenty of tyres to get to the end on that. That's not going to be an issue for him. You wouldn't have thought. Still 22 laps to go. Should be okay. Just looking at some telemetry on Caleb's car, but I missed that one. And the interesting thing is, in this race, I think, especially looking at the qualifying and practice times, the way that Chaz is managing to hang on to Thunderdog here, only 2.5 seconds behind. He's doing an awesome job after 5 laps, really hanging on well. As we just see Jack go past another driver, Forrest, puts him into 16th place. Yeah, Chaz driving really beautifully in the race. If you keep this going, he'll have a chance to attack Thunderdog later on in the race, especially when they get onto the mediums. Let's see what happens there. Looking at Kian's tyre wear, he's up to almost half, 50% on his rears. So we're on lap 5, we're approaching pit stop window. You can still certainly go a few more laps on those. You might be starting to feel just some sort of lack of grip, especially on traction with those rear tyres soon. Gap now up to 6 seconds, well nearly 6 seconds, 5.7 seconds at the front between Caleb and Thunderdog. Still just 2.1 back to Chaz, hanging on really well, possibly benefiting from the not the DRS, but certainly the tow down this 1.2 kilometre straight. He's still going to get a slipstream 4 or 5 seconds behind. So only 2.3 behind. He'll be getting a bit of a tow. That'll be keeping him just in touch, but he's going really well around the other corners. And Kian pits early. Kian pits only 52% wear, but he thinks that's the best time to go. He wants to get the best out of the tyres. He's going to take an early stop, get onto the mediums, and hopefully do some good outlaps. Maybe hoping to put the pressure on the Caleb 137 and try and close some of that gap and go for a bit of an undercut. So crucial couple of laps now. Can Caleb keep this time going? And what can Kian do on his out? He comes straight out into traffic right behind Roth, and that's going to ruin his outlap. Roth in P3. He didn't want that to be happening. He was hoping to get straight back out ahead with no traffic. Didn't quite make it. Maybe the front left was a little bit slow. He's coming down into turn 3 now, and he's lunging for a long way back into the braking zone, but that was important, and he makes it through. So clear track ahead now for Thunderdog, and that's crucial on these new tyres. He wants to try and get this undercut done. In fact, I think he's gone to the hard tyres. Obviously, he doesn't think that the mediums can make it. So he's on the hard tyres, and these couple of laps are very important. So the lead is 9.9, 10 seconds now back to Chaz, and Jack's still making progress up down in 14th place. Nothing more right behind. Kian still has a clear track, and the gap from him to Caleb is 25 seconds at the moment, so we'll just keep an eye on that over the next lap or two to see how that's going to pan out. Caleb's staying out. He's got 54% tyre wear on his right rear. That's the most. So, and he's staying out and keeping going. He's on to lap 7 now. So it's at least 2 laps longer he's going to go. Will he switch to the hards, or will he gamble on the mediums getting him to the end? Still 19 laps after the end of this lap to go. So this is where all the practice and the testing over the last couple of days, they'll have hopefully done their sums to know whether they can make it on mediums, how long the tyres are going to last, or whether they need to go to the hards. Oh, and Thunderdog getting a bit squirrely around that left-hander. But he's holding the gap, 24.9. So those new tyres, even though they're hards, is enabling him just to eat into the gap that Caleb has just a little bit. But he's made a mistake on that left-hander and hit the wall. So that's cost him pretty much a second straight away. Thankfully damage is off. And Jack up to P13 now, and he's looking to get past somebody with a very strange and French looking name. Letourneau, I think it is. Will Letourneau let him past? Well, we'll soon find out. Not in this corner. He's caught him in the slow section there, so Jack getting temporarily held up. We'll have to be patient. So Caleb continues his 25-second gap again. So it looks to me as though Thunderdog certainly has better pace at this part of the race. He got it down from 25 and a bit to 24 and a half. Hit the wall, lost a second. And Caleb is in. So Caleb is in for pits. Now what would he go? Would he go for hards? Would he go for mediums? And Chaz is also in. So let's see how they come out in relation to Thunderdog. Caleb's on his way out, and he is on hards. So it looks like hards all round. So Chaz has gone for hards as well. And Caleb is back out into the lead. And the gap, once it settles down, as he tries to warm his tyres up on his outlap, it's about 6.7 seconds. 6.5 now. Coming down a bit further, so he's just taking a while for him to get his tyres up to speed. 5.8. 5.1, so Thunderdog certainly has some grip compared to the Caleb struggling on his outlap at the moment. And catching hand over fist, does Caleb have a separate problem that we're not aware of? 4.8 now. So now that gap has settled down, so Caleb's tyres looks like they've got up to temperature, and he's just starting to take them out again. And Jack, with all those other pit stops, up to P7 now. He'll hopefully be going to the end with P7, so he's not too far behind, catching them up. And the gap between Chaz and Thunderdog has grown with that pit stop session to 8.6. But that might come back a little bit later. Of course, Chaz's tyres are 2 to 3 laps younger than Thunderdog's. Thunderdog being the first to pit out of those top 3. So he should have better tyres, Chaz, towards the end of the race. That might help him to close some of the gap. So the gap at the front between Caleb and Thunderdog is 5 seconds, 5.1 seconds, as they complete their outlaps. Jack's still on P7 on a personal best lap at the moment. Just approaching the end of his lap. Just a second or so behind the man in 6th place, which is Neves, whoever Neves is. 48.0 there from Jack on his hard tyres. Closing in on P6 quite nicely. So the gap's stabilised at the front. 5.2 seconds. So still at the end of this lap, there'll still be 17 laps to go. So still a pretty long way to go in this race at Baku. Remember, just 3 points separating these two drivers at the front. So with Thunderdog being the one 3 points ahead. So could that swap round this weekend? If it finishes like it is at the moment, it certainly will swap round. Can Caleb hang on and take his second victory in a row, like he did last time out in Monaco street circuit? Here's another street circuit. Looks like he's going to be king of the street circuits if he can keep this going. Gap up to 6.1. Looking good at the moment. So how's GBRO progressing on his hard tyres? Remember, he put these on at the end of lap 1, and he's really closing in now on P4 and P5. As he approaches the final corner, he'll pick up DRS off these two. Good chance to get past at least one of them down this main straight. Looking at his tyre wear, 26% tyre wear. Still 17 laps to go, so I wonder if he can get to the end on these, or whether he will have to do another stop. To see how that goes over the next 10 laps or so. He hasn't managed to catch those guys in the straight, so perhaps Lavasser and Schiffer running much lower downforce settings, and Jack able to catch them very quickly in the corners there, but the straight line speed perhaps just lacking. So different car manufacturers, different setups, different way to get the lap time. Have a look into turn 3, and that's the job done on Schiffer, up to P5. Now he's right behind Lavasser. Oh, and a few little mistakes there from Thunderdog, and the gap's out to 7.4 seconds at the moment. And a further 9 seconds back to Chaz, who's still hanging on pretty well. We've had 10 laps, he's just 9 seconds behind Thunderdog. We're on lap 10. Can Jack dive down the inside at turn 15 here? Oh, he goes for it and makes it with the aid of the wall. So Jack through into P4. So that's a good recovery from right at the back after pitting on lap 1, after tangling with Chaz. But the question still remains, can he get to the end of the race on those tyres? He's got 30% wear on his front right, 29% on his rear, and 16 or 17 laps still to go. And in fact, Lavasser comes back past him on the straight, and so does the other guy, showing that they must be running much less downforce. They're much quicker on the straight, and Jack just can't keep them behind. And that slide isn't going to help his tyre wear either. So Jack has a bit of a problem here, and he's spun. He's spun. Jack spins, and he's back in the race again. So he's down in P7. He's got to do that work all over again to try and get back up to P4. Oh dear. Maybe trying a little bit too hard. Just needs to let that grip come, let the tyre temperature increase again, and get it back. So back to the front. Caleb leads by 8.6 seconds. And now, what's going on then here? So the gap between Thunderdog and Chaz is now just 8 seconds. It was 9 seconds the last time we checked in. So is Chaz going quicker? Is Thunderdog going slower? Is it a mixture of the two? Let's have a look at their current laps at the moment. So Kian just finishing a lap at the moment. That's going to be a 147.7 that lap, and Chaz's lap 47.7, Chaz 46.3, so 1.4 seconds quicker on that lap. Gap down to 7.4. So Kian's struggling for some reason. Maybe he's getting tired. Who knows? 6.9 the gap now, so this is getting very nice for Chaz. I'm sure this information will be being fed back to him as well, so he just needs to keep it neat and tidy, keep doing what he's doing, pumping out some good lap times. But maybe Kian has realised that he needs to increase it. He's just on a personal best first sector as Kian as he approaches Leclerc corner. And he's not an idiot. In fact, nobody's been an idiot this weekend and hit that wall that I've seen. Yes, he has. Actually, Chaz hits it just as I say it. Commentator's curse. Sorry about that, Chaz. But it hasn't cost him too badly. He's still within 8 seconds of Kian. And Caleb's lead increases now to 9.1. Kian's having a few difficulties. So Jack right back up behind Schiffer again. But even if he can get past again in these corners, he's still going to struggle down the straight because they seem to have so much more straight line speed than Jack's car at the moment. Let's see if he can just get through on this turn. No, he can't. Final corner. Nice and neat and tidy for Jack. So he's right behind Schiffer. He'll get the DRS, but he seems to have so much more drag that Schiffer will probably just drive away anyway. There he is, eking away. Be a bit disheartening for Jack, that will have so much less straight line speed. Even with the DRS fully open, maintaining the gap as it is. Now he needs to get past early and try and build a gap before they get to the straights next time. And through he goes into turn 2. Now he's got a chance to do that. So back to the front. Caleb's lead 8.9 seconds. So it's going up and down a little bit. And we'll be at half distance at the end of this lap. So 8 seconds between first and second, 9 seconds between second and third. Ian's managed to get things under control again, another personal best first sector, personal best second sector. So he's putting a couple of good laps together here again, and closing down ever so slightly on Caleb in the lead. Caleb sets a 46.2 for that lap. And Kian's lap is going to be a 46.2, as near as makes no difference as well, maybe a tenth or so quicker than Caleb's, or half a tenth. So very, very evenly matched, these two. Caleb's tyres a couple of laps younger, remember that. Now, we're back to Jack again. He's in the DRS of Levasseur. Can he get through this time at the end of the main straight? Just not quite enough. Oh, and he lunges from a long way back and does make it. Good move, Jack. Very, very nicely completed. So that's Jack back up to P4. He needs to just try and keep it out the wall, not spin like he did last time, and he can build up that gap. Good recovery there from Jack. And what about fuel? How are they all going on with fuel? It looks to me like both Kian and Chaz are pretty positive on the fuel at the moment. Both running in lean, so they're good for fuel. Can't see Caleb's situation at the moment. Just looking at his tyre temperatures, trying to get them exactly where he wants them. Let's see what this lap looks to be going, building the gap ever so slightly. 46.8 that time for Caleb. And Kian does a 47.6, so it's a fair bit slower. The pit window is open for a two-stop strategy. I'm assuming these guys are going to try and go to the end. Lap 15, 11 or 12 to go. Not seen any tyre wear graphics recently, but perhaps we'll see some of those soon. And here we go, there's Thunderdog. So 29% on the rear, and he was the first one onto the hards, apart from Jack, of course, in lap 1. So yeah, it looks like these tyres will go to the end without a problem, so there shouldn't be any more scheduled pit stops. And the gap is out to 10 seconds at the front and 10 seconds between second and third, so pretty static at the moment. Caleb just needs to keep this going to take his second victory in a row. And Thunderdog will be hoping to try and keep the pressure on and hope that he makes a mistake and be able to capitalise. on that. And Jack's now built up a 5 or 6 second advantage over Neves in P5. So he's got 45% tyre wear. 11 or 12 laps to go, but he's had those tyres on for 14 laps because he did it at the end of lap 1. So he's probably okay. He could probably just about get to the end on those tyres. Although once they get to 80 odd percent tyre wear, then the grip does tend to fall off pretty significantly. So that's going to be touch and go whether Jack can get it to the end on those. If he drives cleanly and avoids too much sliding, he might be able to get to the end without another pit stop. But in any case, he's building up the gap to P5 quite quickly, 7.6 seconds now. So if he can get that gap up to 20 seconds, he'll have enough time to get in and out for a quick change onto soft tyres in any case. So he needs to decide whether to push on, try and build that gap, or just try and take it easy and try and nurse his tyres to the end. So let's see what he does. Either way, he's got a very good chance of still getting to the end of this race in P4, which will be a good achievement after the difficult start and having to pit at the end of lap 1. So let's see how that pans out. Thunderdog still pushing on, personal best sector 1. Just nudging the wall there slightly, got the gap down to 9 seconds. He's obviously really pushing on now, trying to let Caleb know that he's not just going to give up without a fight. And Caleb will still have to carry on working hard if he wants to take this victory. Approaches the final corner. Just half a second off his personal best at that stage. And the gap coming down, 7.9 seconds now. So Keane pushing on, reminding Caleb that he's still there. And that lap from Caleb was pretty slow actually, a 48.7 from Caleb, 48.7. And let's just see Keane's lap time. 48.7 and a 47.0, so 1.7 seconds quicker on that lap. So Caleb got a bit of a problem, or just losing a bit of focus, just saving the tyres perhaps, taking it easy, ready to push on again for the last few laps. Could be what it is. Chaz hanging on well, just 11.6 seconds off Thunderdog after 16 laps. So that's average of less than a second a lap that he's dropping. Having a good race. And Jack has now built up an 11.5 second gap to Neves in P5, so he's halfway towards that 20 seconds that he needs if he wants to do another stop. Only 50% wear, so he can certainly still carry on pushing on for a few laps. But still 9 laps to go. Can he get 9 more laps out of those tyres? They've done 15 laps, 51% wear. Can he get 9 more? Touch and go. Possibly. He'll be the one who's feeling how that grip is at the moment. Thunderdog, another personal best, sector 1. He's really hooking that up around those first few corners. 7.3 the gap is now. And I'll tell you what, if this keeps going, Caleb's going to be starting to get a little bit worried. Gap's still fine at the moment. Let's see what the lap times are this lap. Caleb finishing his lap does a 47.1 or 47.2, 47.2, and Keane 46.7. So just half a second quicker that time. And the gap's down to 7 seconds, pretty much exactly. So still just nibbling away. He keeps doing that each lap. 8 to go. Still needs about a second a lap, which is not done on that lap. Caleb coming up to some back markers. Now, ghosting is on, so it shouldn't slow him down, but it can still, disturb your vision a little bit, put you off a little bit. So he needs to continue to take care. Be careful with the grip that he's got on the tyres. And through he goes, past that one. Another half a second or 4/10 of a second gone in the first sector. Another personal best first sector from Kian. And how's Jackaroos gap going, I hear you ask? Well, he's got 14 seconds now on Neves, so another 6 seconds and he'll be able to pit. So as long as the grip's still there and he's still lapping quicker than Neves, he may as well stay out. He's got another 8 laps to go, 55% tyre wear. He could still get to the end anyway without stopping, but the gap is continuing to increase, so he may as well just stay out there and keep doing what he can. Doing a good job. Chad's still only 11.5 seconds off Kian, and Kian's going really well at the moment, so Chad's having a great race there in P3. He looks like he's going to be picking up a pot and a bottle of bubbly for his troubles. 45.8 there from Kian, good lap time. 5.7 seconds now, so another little chunk. So very consistently good, quick lap times from Kian, and Chaz is hanging on to it. It's the Caleb who's the one who's going slower than the other two, significantly and consistently for the past 4 or 5 laps. So we're in for a grandstand finish, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go and make a cup of tea. This could be interesting. 5.7 seconds to go. Caleb's struggling with something. 7 laps to go. 7 or 8 laps to go. And now Kian is coming up to that back marker. Chaz checking his tyres, 56% wear. It's all good for the end. Kian through. Kian, another personal best first sector. Seems like 5 or 6 laps in a row Kian's on a personal best first sector. So with the fuel coming off, lap after lap, he's just going significantly quicker and quicker and quicker. Doing a great job. And maybe Caleb's received the hurry up from his pit crew, because he's just eked out another few tenths for half a second. Looking at his tyres are absolutely fine. Personal best middle sector from Kian, so he's pushing, really going for it. And he is still closing, so lap time 45.7 for Caleb that lap, 45.7. And a 45.4 for Kian, so another few tenths. So 5.5 as we enter 7 laps to go. And Jackaroo 25 fans, you'll be pleased to know, he's now 18 seconds clear of Lawson. So it's just about enough to get in and out. You want 20 seconds really, that's pretty much what it's going to cost you. But if he did have to pit now for softs, then he could probably get in, and he might come out just behind him, but he'd have soft tyres and he should be able to breeze past pretty quickly. He wouldn't want to have to do that if his grip's still good. He's done personal best first and second sector, Jack has on that lap, so he may as well stay out. He's still going pretty well, 19 seconds ahead of P5 now. He's solidifying that P4 there. Back to the front, still 5.6, 5.7 seconds. Oh, and the first sector, this time Thunderdog hasn't got a personal best. Finally, that sequence is broken. Still a reasonable time for the first sector, and it's still 5.7 behind, holding that gap the same. But the laps are running out, and it just looks like he's just going to come up short. But one mistake from Caleb can change everything. Easily lose a few seconds, just get one of these corners wrong. Spin up the rear tyres too quickly on the exit of some of the slow corners, and you could be going round facing the wrong direction. .45.8 that lap for Caleb. 46.3 for Thunderdog, so half a second the other way that time. So it looks like Caleb might have repelled the danger. 6 laps to go. Jack now 20 seconds ahead of P5, so he could do a pit stop if he needs to. He probably doesn't really need to. Probably get to the end on those tyres, but we'll wait and see. And how's Chaz getting on? Of course, Chaz is 40 seconds ahead of Jack, so that's a free pit stop. I suppose he could decide to jump in and put some softs on and go for a fastest lap. In fact, Jack has pitted again anyway, so that gives Chaz a double free pit stop if he wanted it. But Jack's playing it safe, putting some softs on, and should come out still in P4 ahead of Lawson. Let's see how that plans out. Out he comes, and yes, he retains P4. In fact, he's 3 or 4 seconds up the road, so good drive, good recovery from Jack, turns it into a 2-stop, and he'll retain P4. So Chaz coming towards the end of his lap on a personal best first sector. 15 seconds now behind Thunderdog, so he's not going to catch Thunderdog. Will he just bring it home in P3? Or will he decide to go and get some softs and have a go at fastest lap? Staying quite far left. Will he, won't he? Yes, in he comes. Okay, so now we're going to have a bit of fun and games. So Chaz is going to go for the softs. He's going to see if he can get fastest lap, which the Caleb currently holds. Don't know what the lap time is. Somebody might tell me. So let's see what he can do. He's got 4 laps to see if he can do something with that. So out he comes. Looks like a pretty clear track ahead of him. In fact it is, so he'll be able to warm his tyres up, charge his battery up this lap, and give it a go. Oh, and Thunderdog is an idiot! Yes, Thunderdog is an idiot! He crashes at Leclerc corner, and that's the chase over. He was hampered by the back marker, and he couldn't quite see his turning point, just clipped the curb on the left, and that sent him straight into the idiot's wall. And Charles Leclerc is now not feeling as stupid as he already is. So that looks like game over. He was really charging. It was down to 5.5 seconds, but he's hit the wall at idiot corner, and that has called it off. There's 4 laps to go, and the gap now to Caleb is almost 10 seconds. I suppose Caleb could do the same. That would bring it back on again, but Thunderdog will be kicking himself for that. He was gradually closing in, keeping the pressure on. That looks like it's all over. So let's see how Chaz is getting on. He's got Chaz has gone purple middle sector, and here he goes. How close is he? Is he coming down to finish his final lap? Well, not the final lap, but his lap. Of course, this is still his out lap. Okay, so we're on board with Chaz on the soft tyres. He did a purple middle sector on his out lap. So now he's on his first flying lap after that. Can he get... And he's on a purple first sector. Purple first sector. Oh, and Jack's beat him to it. Jack's got fastest lap. But let's see if Chaz is going any quicker ahead. So they've both gone to the soft, of course. And we forgot about Jack. So Jack's been quietly putting in some good sectors and has gone purple, so he now has the fastest lap. But Chaz is behind him. He's gone purple in the first sector. What's his second sector time going to be? He's through the slow twiddly section as he approaches the tough left-hander here. That looked pretty neat and tidy. He's got good grip approaching the end of the second sector. Purple again, so Chaz is going to steal it off Jack, it looks like, if he can finish this off. He hasn't got a toe from anybody, but he's so much quicker around the other parts of the lap. Surely this will be fastest lap. And it is 42.891. There it is, an extra bonus point for Chaz. Unless Jack can respond, of course. But he's not purple on this lap that he's on. And interestingly enough, because Thunderdog had that issue, losing a bit of time, and Chaz is absolutely flying on these new tyres. He's only 7 seconds behind Thunderdog. There's 3 laps to go, and he's only 7 seconds off. So has Chaz perhaps had another mistake that we've missed? Sorry, Thunderdog had another mistake that we've missed? Possibly, because he's 23 seconds behind Caleb. And down to 7 seconds now, but it's pretty stabilised, so it looks like Thunderdog has had another issue and is back up to speed again. And in fact, there's another personal best first sector for Thunderdog. He's had so many of those in this race. 7 seconds, the gap has stabilised now to him and Chaz, but that 2-stop, they've proven pretty powerful, these new soft tyres. But it's remaining in the 7-second bracket, and there's going to be 3 laps to go. Lap 24, lap 25 and lap 26. Well, we thought it was pretty much all over, but then Thunderdog hit the wall, and Chaz and GBRO came in for soft tyres. We had new fastest laps, and is there still another twist? Caleb finishes another lap. 25 and lap 26 to go. So a 20-second lead over Thunderdog for Caleb, so he's going to take over the lead of the championship for the first time this season. So it's been a really good series of races, the last couple of races. Caleb, tyres are fine, and Thunderdog certainly had him worried at some just before he managed to hit Idiot Corner, so that was a shame, but he's done a good race. And Chaz has also had a pretty good, exciting race as well. Having a free pit stop because such a gap behind him, decided to put on the softs. He's taken fastest lap and really got Thunderdog worried as well. Only 7 seconds behind him still. So as we start the final lap, it's the Caleb in the lead by 19 seconds. Thunderdog in P2. And Chaz just 7 seconds, 6.8 seconds behind that. And GBRO having a good comeback after pitting on lap 1. Coming up in P4. So Caleb just 2 corners away now from completing this victory. Approaches the final corner, 17 seconds ahead, just cruising around now. No? Can you hear me now? Hello. So he's going to cross the line. And Caleb wins. Caleb wins the Baku Grand Prix, taking the lead of the championship at the same time. A great, flawless race, not many mistakes. And Thunderdog comes home second. 15 seconds behind. Here he comes now. And Chaz, a well-deserved and exciting P3 and fastest lap for him. Just 7 seconds behind Thunderdog. And in fourth place, it will be Jackaroo. He's 30 seconds ahead of P5. He just needs to finish his lap. So well done, guys. That was a really good race. Some good, interesting strategy calls. Some good fair racing, and only one of you ended up in Idiot Corner. So good stuff. We have a new championship leader. That'll be Caleb. He'll be defending his position as we go to France next week for the Great British Championship. Goodbye! Champagne! Good race, guys. Good race. See you in France.